Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you have all been doing wonderfully. Let me know how you've been in the comments. What are you currently reading? And yeah, I'm so excited to see everyone's comments, and thanks for watching. The first book that I wanted to talk about is Empire of Pain by Radden Keefe, and oh my god, when I tell you, this book was riveting. There were parts where I gasped out loud. I was reading it on the plane and I got to a certain point. Keefe reveals the name of a drug that they had been marketing, and I was like, oh my god. Let me backtrack a little bit. The book is about the Sackler family, who were the owners, technically, I don't know, of the pharmaceutical company Purdue Pharma. They are the family / company that created the drug OxyContin. In a lot of ways, in fact, in the most important way, they are the reason that America has been facing such a deadly and widespread and insidious opioid crisis for the past 20 to 30 years. This book just very methodically details throughout history back 100 years how this family started, where they came from, and how this company became what it is today, and chronicles this family's greed and lust for power. And yeah, it was one of the best books I've ever read in my life. I tried watching the first season of Succession and I enjoyed it. I really liked it. The only reason that I didn't continue watching it is because my HBO free trial ran out and I did not feel like paying for it. In the meantime, this book kind of scratches that same itch, where it's really, really wealthy and powerful people who have access to anything that you might ever want, and they are just so deeply unhappy and discontent with their life. It doesn't really make sense to me, because I feel like if I were in their shoes, if I was a Sackler, I would just leave the country and go to the Bahamas and live my life out on the beach, you know? I think it's very fascinating to read this book and to see how this drive for wealth just corrupts people and is yeah, it's just so awful. And I want to say that this book, if you liked The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt, I feel like you would like this book. And the reason is because the first quarter, or maybe even the first 30%, follows the rise of Arthur Sackler, who is kind of the kingpin of the Sackler family in a lot of ways, but also not really. If you read the book, you'll know what I mean. But Arthur Sackler was kind of this visionary kid who grew up in New York. He was the son of immigrants, and he just hustled his way to medical school, especially in a time when he was Jewish, and Jewish people were not, there were quotas for how many Jewish people could become doctors. And yeah, this guy just hustled his way into becoming a doctor and worked really, really hard and was incredibly smart and talented. And where was I going with this? Oh yeah, so the book is in a lot of ways about New York, and New York in that time period, which I also feel The Goldfinch was also very New York-y in that sense. And so yeah, I really enjoyed that part and I found it entertaining, even though I feel weird calling a nonfiction book entertaining. Do with that what you will. So yeah, if you like The Goldfinch, you'll probably enjoy this book. And if you don't, you didn't hear it from me. I came away from this book with really a holistic sort of understanding of the Sackler family. On one hand, I almost respected Arthur Sackler. Like I said earlier, he was the son of immigrants, and he came from nothing really and really built up this empire. But it was at what point do you sort of stop and be now I'm going to enjoy this wealth that I've created? And yeah, it's just a fascinating question that I probably will never have to answer. And I'm sure that Hollywood is going to make a movie about this all someday. I can just imagine Nicole Kidman as Arthur's second wife with a very teary monologue at one point, and Leonardo DiCaprio as Arthur Sackler, and it's all very Hollywood. But at the end of the day, I feel I came away from this book with just this feeling of none of this had to happen. If one of these people at one point had just been hey, maybe we should stop pushing so hard for OxyContin to be sold, and just stop lying and do the right thing. One of these people at one point could have done that, but none of them ever did. And because of that, millions of people are addicted to this opioid, and it's just, yeah, I don't know. That's kind of what I got from this book, but I genuinely found it so interesting, and I just want to read about like every single thing now. Like, I just want a book about every single topic. So yeah, anyways, in my nonfiction era this year, I've read 3 nonfiction books, so that's kind of a lot for me because I didn't read any nonfiction books for the past 24 years before that. So yeah. The other book I wanted to talk about today was The Glass Hotel by Emily St. John Mandel, and I'm so sorry, but I did not like this book. Maybe it's because I read this book right after reading Empire of Pain, which was a book about, you know, basically this family like swindling a bunch of people, and this book is also about like a Ponzi scheme and this very charismatic guy who dupes a lot of people and steals their money, but it ended up just feeling kind of underwhelming to me. Like, the plot was all right. I thought the characters were also really interesting, but it wasn't as interesting as it thought it was. Paul was not the main character, but he was the most interesting character. And after like the first chapter, we don't really see him. And, you know, we like check in with him intermittently, but I thought he was like sort of the most interesting part of the book, and we never really spend that much time with him. I will still read more Emily St. John Mandel because I've heard lots of great things about her, and I feel like I probably just started with the wrong book. So yeah, The Glass Hotel. Finally, the last book I wanted to talk about was Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton. I'm pretty sure that's how you say his name. If it's not, I apologize. But I went to Universal Studios for my little sister's birthday on May 21st, and we went on the Jurassic Park ride, and I was like, what if I read Jurassic Park? Because the ride was like really good. The movie is obviously so iconic, but I was like, what if I read the book? So I did, and I liked it. I feel like if you read the book, there are scenes from the book that are directly lifted and in the movie as it's written in the book, and I feel like that's because Michael Crichton just has this incredible imagination, and he has a really good sense of, you know, what makes a scene thrilling and what makes a scene like scary. The book is pretty horrific in a lot of ways, like very horror vibes. I also found the book to be a little annoying with its depiction of women, especially Ellie Sattler. In the movies, Laura Dern is so iconic and cool, but I feel like in the book, Ellie is like barely a character. 99% of the male characters objectify her at one point, and it's just like, kind of like, she's just like the token woman who's like given a little bit of agency, but it's like, you know, I feel like we can expect better these days, but at its time it was probably pretty good. And Lex, the young girl, is just like portrayed so annoyingly in the books. Michael Crichton can imagine like dinosaurs being brought to life and like all of this cool stuff happening, but he cannot imagine a young girl who is not annoying. But yeah, Jurassic Park, just as thrilling as the movie. I would say maybe the movie is better. I don't know if that's controversial to say, but I feel like the movie sort of elevates a lot of the scenes in the book. Even though the kernel of the seed is in the book, I feel like the movie is just maybe a little bit better. Please feel free to disagree with me in the comments about that. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you are all doing wonderfully, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care.